I'm going to recap one of the psychological horror films from 1981, titled Possession. Before we get to the storyline, I'd like to wish everyone a happy and great day. Without further ado, let's get straight to the storyline. The movie opens in 1980's West Berlin, as a spy named Mark returns home from a mysterious espionage mission. His beautiful wife, Anna, comes to pick him up right outside their apartment complex. It is revealed that they are meeting after a long time, due to which their marriage is not in the best shape. Anna had expressed mixed feelings towards Mark over the phone some time ago. Mark tries to give her space and even asks if she wants him to stay at a hotel for the time being, but Anna doesn't think it's a good idea as their son, Bob, knows Daddy is coming back today. She then quickly rushes back as if she is trying to run away from the problem. That evening, Bob comes back from school, and his presence makes the couple put their feelings in the backseat for a while. They even sleep together and have an intimate talk, but Anna still looks extremely nervous, as if something is eating her from within. She asks if Mark ever cheated on her when he was away at work, and he promptly replies that he didn't, and asks her the same question. So Anna says she was faithful even when he was away. The following morning, Mark reports back to the headquarters of the West German Federal Intelligence Service, or BND. They interview him regarding his mission, which was to follow and interrogate a target. The BND are extremely happy with his work, and want him to hop on the next mission immediately. However, Mark tells them to find a successor, as he plans to quit with immediate effect. He then takes a suitcase full of his remuneration and heads back home. When Mark reaches his apartment, he is slightly disturbed as Anna is nowhere to be found. When Mark wakes up hours later, Anna calls him on their landline phone. She suddenly reveals that she is currently in downtown, and wants some time to think about herself. Mark tries to ask more, but she rudely hangs up on him. Following this, the reality of the situation slowly begins to dawn on Mark. He frantically searches the pockets of Anna's clothes, the bedside drawers, then begins ransacking the books that she reads. Eventually, he discovers something that puts a dagger in his heart. There is a postcard from India hidden between the pages of a book. It contains a love-filled message from someone named Heinrich. Mark finally realizes that his wife is having an affair. Next, he calls her best friend, Margie, and demands to know the truth. She confirms that his wife is indeed having an affair, but doesn't know much information regarding it. Moments later, Anna calls, and admits that she has been having an affair for a long time now. A shocked Mark asks if she regularly sleeps with her lover, and she replies that she does. He also asks if she likes being intimate with this new guy more than with him, and Anna says that she does. Enraged, he demands to meet her immediately, and asks her to arrive at a local cafe in 30 minutes. The scene then shifts to the cafe as Anna storms in and sits right beside her husband. Mark immediately gets to the point, and says she can keep the apartment as well as the custody of their son. He asserts that he will never visit her, not even to see their son. But this only enrages Anna, and she lashes out at him. Accusing him of being a bad father, She points out that this decision will harm the little kid. But Mark retorts that her decision to cheat on him is what led to this situation. An enraged Anna then gets up to leave, but throws one last jab at her husband. She says that she should have never had a baby with him. This pushes Mark over the edge, and he begins to trash the restaurant in anger. Following this incident, the husband and wife go their separate ways without actually divorcing officially. Anna lives in their apartment along with Bob, while Mark lives all alone. As weeks pass by, the loneliness starts to get into Mark's head. He begins to obsess over Anna, making dozens of calls, and seemingly going mad. Mark also goes on a drinking spree, and can barely speak without stuttering. He only gets back to his senses when a maid reveals that he has been locked up in the apartment for 3 weeks. That evening, Mark pays a visit to his old flat, only to find Bob alone. The poor kid is extremely unkempt and looks neglected. However, Bob happily shows his father a toy sailboat that Heinrich had given him several months ago. This makes Mark realize that his wife had been cheating on him for a long time. A few hours later, Anna returns home and sees her husband waiting for her. She is well aware that she has neglected their son and tries to be apologetic. She also assures him that this will not be repeated again. However, Mark refuses to leave her alone with the child. He actually wants to make amends, despite everything that has happened. Mark tries to force her to call Heinrich and break up with him over the phone. But she insists that she will do it in person. Here Anna seems extremely exhausted, as if she has no control over her senses. She then breaks down in Mark's arms, and the duo eventually end up sleeping together for the night. In the middle of the night, Mark wakes up when he hears the phone ringing.
Anna is with me, and she'll stay with me.
Up next, Mark sees a note that says that Anna is going to Margie's, but Mark knows it's a lie. Mark immediately calls Margie and forces her to give Heinrich's number. On the verge of breakdown, Mark calls the given number, which is picked up by Heinrich's mother, who reveals that Anna hasn't come home for the past several weeks. Next, Mark opens a directory and searches for Heinrich's address using the given telephone number. He is interrupted by Bob, and the little kid seems to be worried that his father is going somewhere, which would leave him all alone. But Mark promises to stay with him forever. The next day, he takes Bob to school, where he comes across his teacher, Helen. To his surprise, she looks exactly like Anna, but with brilliant green eyes and red hair. Mark thinks she's joking, but Helen seems to be calm and collected, unlike Anna, who is hysterical almost all the time. Following this, Mark pays a visit to Heinrich's apartment and demands to meet his wife. But the latter says he hasn't seen her for quite a while now, as he was away on a business trip himself. Heinrich says that he actually left the day Mark arrived, as he wanted Anna to make a choice. He also swears that he didn't call Mark last night. As the conversation wears on, Mark gets increasingly jealous, and he ends up attacking Heinrich. But the latter easily gains the upper hand, and beats him up. Defeated and depressed, Mark returns home, only to find Anna happily chatting with their son. Moments later, Mark asks where she was the entire morning, knowing she was not at Margie's or Heinrich's. Once more, Anna gives a very vague answer, simply stating that she was with her friends. She also ends up slapping him in the midst of the argument. But Mark, who is now boiling with rage, slaps her multiple times, until she starts bleeding. He then tells her that he is punishing her for all the lies she has told. In the aftermath of this fight, Anna storms out of the apartment. Mark, whose anger has now subsided, goes after her and tries to apologize. But she is in no mood to listen to him, and leaves him alone on the street. On his way back to the flat, Mark encounters Margie, whose left leg is in a cast. She seems to be happy about the couple's marriage going down in flames, and even offers to look after Bob. Although Mark makes it clear that he loathes her, he accepts her offer. A few days later, Mark has a meeting with a private investigator. He pays the detective to follow Anna for a few days, and find out where she goes. That night, he returns home drunk, and ends up embracing Margie in the bedroom. The following day, Anna visits the apartment once more, like nothing really happened. Mark confronts her while she is busy grinding meat in the kitchen. It is obvious that he feels guilty for raising his hands on her. He reveals that every time she is away, he has nothing but anger towards her. But when she comes back, all his hatred evaporates, leaving nothing but desperation. Even now, Mark thinks Anna is sneaking away to meet Heinrich. The devastated husband asks if she loves him and wants to start a family with him. Anna shakes her head as if to signal that she does want those things. But then, she grabs the electric knife and cuts her own neck, so Mark intervenes before she can inflict a deep wound, and drags her to the bathroom. He then tends the wound, and expresses his love towards her. Shortly afterwards, he goes to the kitchen and begins cutting his own arm with the same electric knife. Anna, however, doesn't reciprocate any kind of care. She leaves again to her mysterious place while her neck is still bandaged. This time though, the private detective starts following her as soon as she leaves the apartment. He cautiously shadows her to the metro, and disembarks on the same station as her. After a while, the detective eventually sees her getting inside a Gothic building, and follows her inside. When he notices Anna entering an apartment on the first floor, he rushes outside to a payphone and informs Mark. The detective shares the address, and says he will try to enter her apartment for further investigation. Moments later, he forcibly enters Anna's apartment, posing as a building manager. He makes up a lie, saying he wants to inspect all the windows on the floor. A worried Anna is initially hesitant in letting him wander around her personal space, and she slowly acts more and more deranged. Soon, the detective finds nothing suspicious in the apartment, until he checks Anna's bedroom. There, growing on the wall like some fungus, is a bizarre creature made up of creepy-looking flesh. He doesn't realize Anna has snuck up behind him with a shard of broken wine bottle. She attacks him, eventually stabbing his neck twice, causing the poor detective to bleed to death. Meanwhile, Mark slowly grows closer with Helen, who visits his apartment to take care of Bob. It is evident that he likes her because she looks exactly like his wife. Just then, Heinrich also arrives at the door, saying he wants to know where Anna is. But Mark replies that he has no idea about it. Once the flamboyant guy departs and Bob is put to sleep, Mark and Helen go to bed together. But that very night, Bob is awakened by nightmares and cries out for his mother. This worries Helen, so she apologizes and leaves, saying she shouldn't have tried to replace Anna. The next day, after dropping his son at school, Mark is suddenly greeted by Zimmerman, the lover of the missing private detective. Zimmerman reveals that the detective hasn't returned home from last night, and inquires about his whereabouts. Mark then gives him the address of Anna's mysterious apartment. The scene shifts as Zimmerman arrives in front of the Gothic building where Anna lives. He enters her apartment, shows her a photo of his lover, and asks if she has seen him. Anna cryptically directs him to the nearby room. And so, Zimmerman naively enters the same room, only to find the freakish creature as well as his dead lover's body.